Okay guys, so we're out here at Titleist National Fitting Centre. I've got James, fitter here. We're going to talk a little bit about wedges, talk a little bit about maybe a bit of a fitting process that we would typically go through choosing a wedge. And as many of us know, there's so many options now, lofts, we've got bounces, we've got grinds, and it can maybe be a little bit of a minefield for possibly you guys out there when you come to choose a wedge, what is right for you and your angle of attack, your club delivery. So maybe this process, this video will just hopefully educate you a little bit in terms of what grinds possibly you might be looking at. Okay James, so we'll go through the process.
Yep, so two parts of the process, gapping and grinding. Gapping, you're a bit familiar with. This is where we're looking to hit the number as an approach club.
Yeah.
As you go down to pitching wedge in the set, 50, 54 is really good numbers for you.
Yes.
4 degrees gap between wedges.
Yeah.
We've got a nice 10 to 15 yardage gap. What we're going to focus on in this little section here is the lob wedges.
Yeah.
So 58, if that's the route that we go down, we've actually got 5 different grinds in this one.
Yeah.
And like you just said there, it's a bit of a minefield
yeah,
for consumers.
absolutely, yeah.
So we've set up a shot here,
okay.
And this is probably a scenario on the course where you'd look to pull a lob wedge out.
Yes.
We've got an imaginary hazard in front of us, we've got a fairly tight pin.
Slightly raised,
Not a bad lie there. So we're just going to have a look at your technique, we're going to discuss some of the grind options and identify which one's most suitable for you. So we'll just start off with you hitting a few in there and have a look at actually how you're delivering the club.
Okay. Feel a bit now.
And technique wise, you're relatively square.
Yes.
We're not manipulating the club. The whole bunch, you've hit 5 or 6 shots down there.
Yeah.
We've bruised the turf, but we haven't taken great big divots.
Yeah.
Is that typical of what you're doing?
Yes, yeah. I think historically I've always been a little bit sort of jabby back foot, and I'm sort of feeling like I'm going to try and use the sort of sole a little bit more and try and deliver a little bit more loft. So growing up I was always like bang it in low, hard, zip it sort of style, where I'm trying to sort of be a little bit more aerial.
You wanted to see it go?
Yeah. So it's just not sort of too one-dimensional in a way.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Without going into a huge amount of detail, we don't want you to change your technique. Carry on doing what you do.
Yes.
The clubs as I give them to you, we're not going to go into detail about them because
what you're going to give me,
how you deliver.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
The first one that we hit there, I just plucked this one. It happened to be the K grind.
K grind, okay.
This has got the widest sole out of all the options.
Okay.
It also features the most camber and the highest amount of bounce.
Yeah.
And it really is good for somebody that keeps it square and gets a little bit steep and takes divots, because it's going to give us that assistance. Just admiring you hitting those shots there, it sounded like it was just catching a little bit on the back.
Yeah, I could feel that. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you another option now, just to see if we can improve the strike a little bit.
So there's obviously a little bit of a story with bounce and grind, with types of lies, isn't it? So if a golfer plays a lot at links, sort of tight lies, again it depends on their technique as well, I'm guessing, but they would tend to go in more of a low bounce as a rule, would they?
Yeah. We offer L grind in 4 degrees, M grind in 8 degrees, that type of option. We've got trailing heel and toe relief on those, and that allows the club to slide under the ball. Somebody that's a bit shallow or very firm conditions, that's going to give you more help to do that. And the opposite, we've got sort of D grind and A grind in 12 and 14 degrees of bounce to give that assistance when people get steep. So I'm not telling you what that one is.
Okay.
I'm just going to admire the strike on these ones.
Yeah. Feels a little bit different.
Very nice, that one. It sounds a tiny bit cleaner.
Yes.
And we're getting a little bit more reaction on the green.
A little bit higher.
A little bit higher.
Yeah. Just that's the first thing I noticed there. Just a little bit of a higher fly into. Yeah, strikes feels a bit better. Like you mentioned there, I just don't feel that back edge of the sole. Just
you can hear that catching a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels great.
Yeah, really good.
Good coming through that turf there.
Just going to swap you over and give you a third option now.
Okay. Feels good. A little bit lower that flight.
Yeah. Just to kind of explain what we've done with the 3 models that we've just hit.
Yes.
For no reason other than that was the first one that we grabbed.
Yeah.
The grind came out first.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to identify your technique, and we wanted to see what kind of strike you were getting on the ball, how you were delivering the club. And we identified that it was a little bit maybe too much on the bottom there
yeah.
for yourself with this particular shot. So we actually moved from the K, which is our highest bounce, biggest sole if you like,
yeah.
to the middle of the range, which is our S grind.
Okay.
This is featuring 10 degrees of bounce, and it's named after Steve Stricker. And if you imagine his technique, he's relatively square,
yeah,
straight back, straight through, and this does suit that type of technique, but it does have a tiny little band taken out on the trailing edge for those occasions should you wish to really go extreme and
opening it up. Okay.
Generally, it's a good mid-range club for this type of shot.
Yeah.
We then actually went extreme the other end, and the last one that you were just hitting there is our L grind.
Yes.
So this is the lowest bounce option in 4 degrees.
Yeah.
It's got the most trailing edge and most heel and most toe relief.
Yeah.
And that's somebody that's very shallow, likes to throw the club in under the ball, get it seriously airborne.
Yeah.
And not that the strike was particularly bad for you on there, but what I did notice was
a bit more inconsistent. Yeah.
Inconsistency.
Yeah.
You had a miss left, miss short, and miss right.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't quite in
absolutely. Yeah. That felt better. That middle one. Yeah.
In this particular environment, I'd say that of the 3 options, if we're going to go low, mid, or high, the mid one came out perfect. What we then look to do as we progress, we try them in different scenarios. So we may look to do one in a bit of rough, or go in the bunker because this is potentially a sand club as well.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's definitely like a feel thing, isn't it? Like we were discussing a bit yesterday, wasn't it? Of how that sole interacts. Obviously, players will have different techniques of how they interact with that ground, but I think as a feel for a player, and I noticed that going from that K to to the M and then to the L, you can feel how that sole does or doesn't react.
It does make a big difference.
Yeah.
And my advice to anybody that's unsure of the process, or they get a little bit confused by everything that's going on there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Don't pay too much attention to what's going on. Obviously identify the letter which is identifying that grind, but don't just use your technique.
Yeah.
Grab 1 or 2 of the demo clubs and just get out onto the short game area and test them against each other.
Yeah.
And you'll know, or it'll be obvious, which one's providing the best strike and the best reaction.
Yeah.
And ultimately stopping it closer to the flag.
Absolutely, yeah. It's putting yourself in those different situations that you'd find on the golf course, isn't it? Just the different lies. Right, okay, James, so you've put me in a bit of a trickier situation now, haven't you?
I have a nasty one for you.
Okay, so coming out a little bit of, slight bit of rough.
Yeah, one of the things we like to do is if somebody's lacking confidence or struggling with the short game, can we fit some wedges or identify something that's going to keep your good shots really good, but improve ones that you don't like or aren't confident with? So
yeah.
Set up here, we're in the rough. We've got wind coming down in behind.
Downwind.
We've got a tight pin, we've short-sided ourselves, and it's downhill. So we've identified.
Thanks, James.
In the first scenario, we narrowed it down to 2 grind options, so we're now going to play them off against each other in this tricky environment.
Perfect, yeah. Okay, so keep it 58, and this is in the S.
Yes, we'll start with.
Okay.
Just before you hit that one, Mike.
Yeah.
In the first environment off the tight line, we narrowed it down to 2, and they were close. Was one of them better than the other one in your opinion from there?
I think it was that.
It's just
that S, yeah.
So if we were to set up, say for example, 3 scenarios, that was the first one, this is the second one, and then we go in the bunker. We want to kind of grade these 2 against each other to see which one performs
okay.
best. So
makes sense.
This is just slightly in front for now, and then we'll move on to this one.
Okay.
It's a tough shot we're giving.
Stops quick, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's something that we get asked quite a lot when we go through the process as well. People see the pros on the telly, chucking the ball up on the green, getting it to grab them.
Yeah.
Say to us, how can we generate that kind of spin?
Where's that wedge? Where's that magic wedge?
Exactly that. And just little things like keeping the grooves clean.
Yeah, simple, isn't it?
You clean it out like that.
Yeah.
Dry, we like.
Yeah.
Get moisture trapped in
absolutely,
there.
yeah.
Taking spin off. But the ball is probably the biggest factor out of all of it. The ball and the wedge combined. Nice sharp grooves. SM7 we know are spinning as you just identified.
Yeah. Probably one. Yeah.
You're giving yourself every opportunity to get it dancing down there.
Absolutely. Get him. Nearly. That feels lovely, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll test that one against.
Yep. Okay. Feels different. Doesn't look to be gripping as much, that.
No. Good ones are good. It's a bit like when you hit.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? Yeah.
Scenario, the consistency's not quite there.
Yeah. Yeah, the strikes are just a little bit more varied, which just sends it up and down a bit more inconsistent. Yeah, that's done all right, that, but yeah, it's not quite.
Yeah, it looks like the.
So back in the S again, isn't it? So we're seeing a bit of a trend here, aren't we? So that was a little bit heavy, that.
Away with it.
That, yeah.
Oh, finish nice.
Yeah. That's it, right. That wins. Yeah.
Just between the two.
Noticeably different, that.
Yeah, what we identified there, S-Grind 1 in this scenario, again, it was more consistent, but also this is very, very subtle, but having just a tiny little bit less bounce on this one, when we caught the leading edge, not the sole of the club first, it was just grabbing and snagging a little bit, and that led to a slightly wider dispersion, a little
noticeably different, that. Yeah.
Yeah, less spin and less control on the green when it got down there. So
yeah,
S stood out for
S. Yeah, yeah, okay.
So 2 out of 3 scenarios down, this one's edged it in both of them so far.
Yes.
But because this is going to be a bunker club, the suggestion would be that you would try it in the sand to make sure that it's doing what
we'll get that process.
Well, yeah.
Excellent, okay. Right, okay, James, so bunker time?
Yep, so for yourself, when you're looking at a lob wedge, we need it to be quite versatile. You're going to be using it in the tight lies, in the rough, in the bunker.
Yes.
Quite a few different areas there. And the S-Grind has come out on top in the first 2. Yep. So we need to make sure, because it's going to be a bunker club as well, that it does work down here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Otherwise we may look at some alternatives. So we just
okay. Feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, to be honest, bunker play is quite a strength of mine. So I always feel pretty confident going into a bunker, and I mean, that feels great. Again, you know, I think when you start opening it, I'm guessing you start to play a bit more bounce anyway, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Which obviously gets that club sort of working through.
And anybody that's fortunate enough to spend time with Mr. Vokey himself, sound is critical.
Yes.
Especially when you're in the bunker, and when you're engaging the bottom of that club correctly,
yeah,
it makes this really nice stud.
Yeah.
We just had that.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
There are people like what we could do is it's looking like S is the best for
yes,
scenario,
yeah.
and that's potentially one that we'd recommend for yourself. There are people that may want to carry wedges for specific tasks.
Yeah.
So they have a pitching wedge for their pitch shots, and they have a sand wedge for their sand shots.
Yes.
So if somebody's maybe lacking a bit of confidence but wants something that's going to get them out of the bunker and putting, if they're not as skilled as you at the sand, then I'd maybe recommend the one with a bit more sole. So with this one, this is probably our best club.
So this is the K, fuller.
Wide camber, wide sole.
Yeah.
And you can get nice and steep on it, and it just pops it up.
Okay.
It really does help people get out the sand if they're struggling.
Yeah, definitely feel that. Again, it's just that interaction, isn't it?
And assistance.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's nice. So potentially then you could, a lot of golfers might go, say in my case there, maybe S in the gap, sand possibly, and then maybe, as you say, if you prefer more of that as a bunker shot, you could then go K in like a 58 in it. Yeah.
And just because sole or a grind works especially well in one loft, doesn't mean that that's the correct one in another loft.
Yes.
You can see even the leadership guys on tour, they'll play maybe something with a bit more bounce in a mid wedge, a 54, 56, maybe an S or an F, a 10 or a degree, because they're playing more squarer shots, more fuller shots.
Yeah.
And when they get down into the lock wedge, they've got an L grind with 4 on it, and then that gives them 2 completely sold and a whole variety of
shots. Yeah. Right, okay, so just jumped in after that video into the bit of a sheltered inside here. It was pretty windy out there, so apologies if the audio was a little bit crackly. But really interesting video there, just talking a little bit about wedges and grinds and possibly how you go through that sort of fitting process and putting yourself in those different situations, you know, the nice clean lie that you'd hope to get more of. But obviously when you get into those rough, how does that wedge perform? How does that sole differ going through that particular lie, and then obviously then jumping into the bunker? So quite an interesting one, and I think an area with the talking about grinds is quite a complicated sort of arena really, when you look at different grinds and bounces and different lofts. But definitely hard to put across in a video, the feel aspect obviously, you know, but I could really feel the difference between those different grinds as the club was coming through that turf and through that impact area. So post your comments down below, let me know what wedges you are using, what grinds you're using, bounces and why. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. If you haven't subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Obviously follow me up on social media platforms, both Instagram and Twitter, and the handles there are @MNGolfCoach, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.